This old guy DIY video has to do with troubleshooting this force by Mercury Marine. So what I learned in the last day or so is anytime you see something buy something, the first something is not so good. So after reading about it, Force was a Chrysler product that was bought by Mercury. Mercury wanted a low price point motor. They did this thing, it says Force by Mercury Marine, but it is not a Mercury motor. It's kind of like if you're driving down the road and you see Motel 6 by Hilton, expect it to be a Motel 6, not a Hilton. So when I was doing my initial troubleshooting on this thing, and if you've seen my last videos, you know, normally I start out by trying to start the motor, and then I go down and I take the fluid out of the lower unit, see if there's water in it. In this case there was. But I ended up detuning this effectively in the yard when I was trying to help the lady, because what I learned yesterday is that the line had delaminated for the fuel line, and that plastic stuff is just gunking up the fuel pump. So yesterday, when I pulled out some of the delaminated gunk and fired it up, the thing wanted to run like a stud horse, but now because of the changes I made when it was in the yard, it will not run. So here I am going to round 2. I'm going to replace the fuel line and then try to restore the motor so it will idle. Right now I can start it and it roars like hell, but when you take the fast idle control down, it shuts off. So here we go. And right here you can see what that line looks like. It has that internal plastic membrane that delaminated from the outside. So I can cut chunks off, try to feed the thing on, but eventually it has to be replaced. So today is the day to replace it. Well, today I learned where it has this little sign. It says throttle cable must be readjusted if idle speed is changed. That's not just because they had extra labels. So, well, changing the idle speed up here, as I was trying to raise the idle a little bit, this thing kind of got in a bind. And when this gets in a bind, it causes your throttle cable down here to get in a bind. And when the throttle cable is bound, you can't shift it at the driver's console. So I ended up removing this little nut and removing that little nut, and to get the thing so it starts and runs and idles now, I had to turn this barrel 17 times. So I had my lovely assistant sitting in the boat catching some sun, writing down 17, so in case I screwed it up I could go back where I came from. But in the meantime, we move this out 17 times, we tighten this back up. I have an actual fuel line coming back where it belongs. I put a fuel filter in line. I eliminated the delaminated Atwood Special, and now when she goes to fire it up, it'll go. So between last night and today, I've wasted about 2.5 hours of my life. Had I checked that fuel line first, I could have saved myself, but here we go. She's going to fire it up. Now I know how Obi-Wan Kenobi felt. May the Force be with you.